Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. Welcome back. It's the Manufacturer Showcase. It's Thursday afternoon here in the Eastern Time Zone of the U.S. It's 1830 Zulu on April 18th, 2024. And this is the Manufacturer Showcase brought to you by DX Engineering. And this is where we either talk to or talk about the over 180 different manufacturers that DX Engineering represents. And today, I'm really glad to have my good old friend, Jeff, KB8ZWT, back on with me. It's old home week. How are you, Jeff?
It's good. It's good to be back. It's been a while.
Jeff, every time the grass starts growing, I think about you and your vertical, the butternut vertical, your radials, the radials that get chopped up in the yard every year.
Yep.
You know, what are you going to do this year?
Well, this year's project is a addition. Right now, I have the FTDX10 hooked up to the butternut. I have the ICOM 7300 hooked up to the Chameleon MCOM2, the old version of it, and I'm going to hook the 7200 up to another MCOM2. This is the MCOM V2. So that's my project in the next couple of weeks. And the reason I'm doing that is I am limited in space in the yard. I can't put another vertical up right now because of radial field. So I can get two of the 60-foot wire antennas up and far enough away where they're not going to interfere with each other.
So, Jeff, do you see the DX website here?
Not yet. There it comes.
Okay. So this is the antenna you're talking about that you just bought, which is the Chameleon antenna, portable HF antenna, MCOM 2 version 2. And why did you select this antenna, Jeff?
Well, I've been using that antenna for, gosh, I want to say at least 4 or 5 years on the other end, other radio. And with the 7300, I haven't had to use a tuner with it other than what's in the radio. And I mean, it has worked very well for me. I have talked into Europe on that. In fact, the very first year I got my general license, that's the antenna I used when the 13 colonies was on. And I was just successful and got all 13 colonies and all the extras with that antenna with 100 watts with the ICOM 7200 at that time. And then after I got the 7300, I switched that antenna over to the 7300 and been using it on that now. So the 7200 doesn't have anything right now.
All right, so let's talk about how does the radio tuner react with this antenna? How easy is it to tune?
It's very easy with the 7300. It tunes everything very quickly. Now, 80 meters and 160 meters, it does have a little bit of trouble with, but those are, 160, I don't think I would really use with that antenna in the first place. When it was hooked up to the LDG tuner that I have on the 7200, it tuned everything up real quick, no problem at all.
All right, so having an LDG tuner has more range of tuning than the internal radio tuner. Now, what about the differences of this antenna's performance and so forth between? You talked about 3 radio models here. You talked about the ASU FTDX10. You talked about your ICOM 7200 and the ICOM 7300. Any differences when using those radios, Jeff?
No difference at all. Each of those radios have received and transmitted perfect with this antenna that I have.
Well, that is really great. I mean, I think that's an important part. Does it work with multiple radios? Because if I don't have a 7200 or a 7300, I want to know about that. And how have you found the tuner to be on the FTDX10?
Actually, very amazing. with that, with the Chameleon MCOM2 on that, it's tuned that with no problems at all, just like the 7300. A little bit of issues on 160, but it did tune it, so no problems at all. And when I've used it, I've got good reports.
Well, that's the bottom line. You know, can you make contacts?
Yep.
Can you get good reports? And Donnie says, I got the ALS 500M doing good. That's Kilo Kilo 4 Echo Kilo Kilo. So Donnie, thanks very much for the feedback. I think the ALS 500 is the amplifier, right?
Yep.
Jeff?
Yep. Uh-huh.
And we've got Delta Lima 6 Radio Delta Echo. Charlie is on from Bavaria in Germany. And the sun just went down there. So they're moving along through their Thursday evening. And I would think that, Jeff, 20 meters right now would be really good into Europe.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you were able to work into Europe using these antennas.
Oh, absolutely, with no problems at all. And I have no amplifier or anything like that. 100 watts, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, you've never had an amplifier, and we blame your wife for that.
Yeah.
That and the worms outside underneath your vertical.
Yes.
What about camping and POTA activations, Parks on the Air, Jeff?
Later this summer, I will be at the West Branch State Park camping, so I will activate there most likely. I will be at Silver Springs City Park here in Stowe field day week. And there is actually a local club that'll be out there that same weekend. I didn't plan it that way, but it's going to work out that way.
Well, that's what's pretty amazing is, you go to some of these parks and during camping, there could be 2 or 3 or 4 different activations.
Yeah.
So you kind of look for the HF antennas poking up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do drive around the park looking for them.
And I was talking to a club last night, and they have a lot of mobile units. And one of the things, when you're thinking about going out with your camper or even a mobile and you're sitting still, if you have the ability to hook to a ground rod from a safety standpoint, especially if you have a generator on board, or maybe you're, how many of these hookups, when you go to a park, do you have the ability to get electricity, Jeff?
All of them that I go to, I do have shore power. But I did recently just buy a generator that I'm going to start taking with me just in case there's an issue. But yeah, I've always had some type of shore power.
Yeah, and what about batteries, Jeff? What are you thinking about? Any Biano type batteries? Any battery operation?
I have looked into that. I haven't made up my decision on anything like that. Where I might try something like that is a couple of us have talked. West Branch State Park has an island that we could do an island on the air because it is an actual named island. So we've kind of talked about maybe taking my boat to that island and activating sometime. I don't know if that'll ever happen or not, but we've talked about it.
Well, that sounds fun. And of course, it'd be cool for you to mount an antenna on the boat itself, too. Dave is on from California, W6 Charlie Radio Tango today. And Dave, nice to have you along. Jeff, one of the things that I like to do on the website is taking a look in the what's new tab, right? I mean, that's where you're going to find the newest antennas that we're carrying. It's also, I think one of the things that you're looking at, and we always try to have, things in our cart, in our wish list and things like that. But this high visibility coax, and let me know when you see my screen there.
And there it is.
There it is.
Magic.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about this coax, Jeff?
So that's our 8X high vis coax. We just recently got that, and for field day, I think that is something that would be great for a lot of the clubs that are activating, because it is such high visibility on the ground. People will be able to see that. When I am camping that weekend, I will have probably a 50 footer out there that I'll have hooked up to one of my antennas. But the high vis, I mean, I seen that recently, and it is very, very visible. Great stuff, and it's our 8X, same as our 8X coax that we already sell.
So it when you're doing parks or any parking lot or any sort of where you've got the kind of the public or even the family around, you don't want to trip on the coax.
No, not at all.
And of course these this particular one is 100-foot length, has the DX Engineering patented coax connectors already installed. And how about that installation of the connectors, Jeff?
Oh my gosh, that is the best. I could not do it myself, even if I had the proper tools to do it. Our guys who do that, they are amazing. They are the masters at putting those connectors on. I've never had a problem with one of those connectors coming off.
Yeah, the solder center pin along with the crimp shield, really good. And then having that heat shrink tubing that has the glue in it on the back of the connector, Jeff, it just makes it really good.
Yeah, it really does. They do a good job, and that's a good coax, good connector to have.
I was just in a meeting here, Jeff. We were talking about this high visibility coax, and we were thinking about other colors that customers might like to have, and because it looks like we can get about any color for the coax. So
and you know what, that's come up. We've talked about that. Some of us in the office, like me, having 3 radios hooked up here. I got jumpers going to each radio. A different color jumper, would identify, okay, the 7300, 7200, and the FTDX10. I could tell which coax is going where. So that's
you keep lining up the radios there. We really need to work on this amplifier thing. That's
well, me and W8 BBQ kind of talked about that this morning.
We've got Skip Longpath Parkey's on. He said the coax, the orange coax there, the high vis, it looks like pumpkin spice.
Yeah,
but it doesn't smell like it. And then our good friend K3LR, Greg, who's part of the team there in the store that you trained, Jeff, and got Greg going. He says, not only that, at field day, you can tell your coax from the other guys in the club.
Yeah.
That's another benefit of that high visibility coax. So,
and I believe we have high visibility antenna wire also for making. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff out there that for safety in mind on field day.
Yeah. Now, Jeff, what else are you hearing on the phones? What are customers asking about?
Well, one of the big things right now is it's springtime. People are starting to think antennas again, and a lot of people ask about vertical antennas this time. What would work best in my situation? I need something that I can raise and lower, and we have the Omni Tilt for stuff like that. So we've got what you need, and they're asking for it, and we're sending it out and shipping it.
Yeah, and you got that great radial plate that you can recommend to guys, and all the mounting hardware, and it's stainless steel, so it's not going to rust. And on the Hustler vertical, how about that 65-page manual?
That is amazing. Who made that manual? Who did that?
Well, let's give credit where credit's due.
That's right.
And Parkey did an amazing job with that manual.
Yep.
And it's free. You can go right to any of the Hustler verticals, and there's that 65-page manual that you can download, and you can hot rod your Hustler vertical. And of course, if you want to have a vertical like you do, you
Hmm.
get the butternut. And
Yep.
we've got that in several different flavors of how many bands that you want.
Right.
And so we've got Scotty's on here, WK3N. Always good to hear from you, Scotty.
Yep.
And Scotty just recently got a new rotators, Jeff. And he's one of these guys that gets to live up on Pymatuming all year long.
I know. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, so he's up there on the lake, and so AA1K came out and took care of Scotty and got him going again. And Scotty's made an amazing recovery from his stroke. So
Yes.
really glad that Scotty's with us here. And let's see, Parky says I had a lot of help getting that manual made. We have some great antenna people here at DX Engineering. And you know, that's what the great thing is, Jeff. If you don't know the answer, you know somebody on our staff knows the
Oh,
answer.
absolutely. We put a message out to everybody, and somebody always responds. I'll take that. I can help with that.
Right. And so the bottom line is we want to get the best information possible to the customer. And along the way, you and I get to learn things. You know, there's
Absolutely.
always something to learn. And let's see, Larry's on. That's Kilo Bravo Zero Sierra Queen Whiskey. And great to have you on as well, Larry. Well, Jeff, we're really excited to hear about some of your activations and getting out there with your boat and the camper this summer. We're going to have you on quite a bit to go over the results of these new antenna systems
Yes.
and how you do with the high vis cable. So thanks very much for coming on, Jeff.
Anytime.
All right, we'll see you again soon. And thanks to all of you. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're going to have Whiskey 8 Charlie India from the Dayton Amateur Radio Association, and we're going to be talking Hamvention 2024. Until then, 73 from DX Engineering.